Welcome to my segment. This is a new segment. It's about the fallen angel. It has come to my attention. Many people still believe in the book. They still believe in the book of Enoch. I understand that the book of Enoch is very exciting. It's a very exciting book, and many people still believe in it. If you don't know the book of Enoch, it is actually referring as the book of giants. And many people don't understand that actually Enoch did not write a book. And that is where many people get confused. The book of Enoch was actually written by these rabbis or rabbinical priests who came from Babylon. So after the captivity of the Jews in Babylon, they came back. And after they came back, that is when they began writing these books. And it has actually come to my attention that many people don't understand the meaning of what is the Nephilim. What differentiates a Nephilim and a fallen angel? According to the book of Enoch, the Nephilim are the fallen angels. So, like you can see, it doesn't give any type of explanation where the Nephilim come from, where the fallen angel come from. But today, I will just give you the difference between the Nephilim and the fallen angels. Who are the Nephilim? Who are the fallen angels? There is a bigger difference. Maybe you don't understand the bigger difference between the fallen angels and the Nephilim. But the fallen angels and the Nephilim are the two different creatures. Yes, I think many people will confuse. So the Nephilim are, let me just go back to the beginning of the Nephilim. The book of Genesis says that God created Adam. And when he created Adam, he told Adam specifically that the fruit of good and evil don't need to be eaten. That fruit of the knowledge of good and evil was wanted by Adam to not eat the fruit. But God decided to create a woman, and that woman came along as Adam's partner. So, Adam's support, someone who Adam's supposed to go in life with. They're supposed to take the same destiny together. One thing that Adam did is to tell Eve exactly the same thing that God told Adam, not to eat the fruit of good and evil. So that fruit of knowledge and evil was not supposed to be eaten, right? So you have to understand another thing is that when God created all animal, from fish to a human, because God created a human, Adam, to be the last creation he created. And before he created Adam, the last things on the animals he created, it was the serpent. And remember, one thing that you have to understand about the serpent was a half human and a half animal, or a half beast. So the serpent had 2 legs and 2 arms, and he looked exactly like a human. that there was a unique thing that the serpent had. I don't think that many people understand the uniqueness that the serpent had. The serpent had the same knowledge, or a 75% of the knowledge of a human being, and the smartness and everything that a human possesses. And he was close to human being, that it was the only animal that was created by God as a beast that can mix its sperm with a human egg, and a human can actually get pregnant. Any human, in any beast in this world, any animal, cannot sleep with a human being and the egg can mix together and a human can get pregnant. No woman of a human race can get pregnant with an animal. The serpent was the only beast that can mix the sperm together with an egg of a human being, and that woman can become pregnant. That is how close the serpent was, because he was a half beast and a half human. He was combining together like that. So, for you to understand is that the devil, that is actually Lucifer by name, and his spirit went directly inside the serpent and he began to speak. Remember, the serpent was created to speak. He was close to humanity because he was a half beast and a half human. He could speak like a human being. So a human can hear everything that the serpent is speaking. That is why when the spirit of the devil entering inside the serpent began to speak to Eve. But Eve thought he was speaking to the serpent, just like normal, because the serpent was close to a human being that he can speak to Adam, he can speak to Eve. Because Eve thought the serpent was speaking to her, but it was the devil speaking to her, because the spirit of the devil was already possessed the serpent. So the serpent began to speak to Eve, and it convinced Eve, the way the Bible says, to actually sleep together. That is when the serpent slept together sexually with Eve. But for the first time, remember, this fruit that was forbidden for Adam and Eve to eat was actually sex. When the serpent, that was actually the devil's spirit inside of him, convinced Eve to have sex, Eve says it felt good. It felt so much good that Eve went to Adam to try to make Adam to sleep with her. So Eve went to Adam and says, look, the fruit is good. Actually, I ate the fruit, meaning I slept, meaning I had sex, and it felt good, right? So, because Adam had no other choice, remember, Eve was already the destiny person for her to go in life with Adam. So when she fell, even Adam did not fall, but Adam fell too. So Adam was already lost the power of resistance against the fruit. because they're supposed to resist together. Him and Eve was supposed to resist the fruit together. But because Eve did not resist the fruit, Adam could not resist the fruit too. So, because Eve was already fell, Adam was destined to fall with her together. So, Adam could not resist. He put up a little resistance, but Adam could not resist that much. And then he slept with her. They had sex. And right there, Adam and Eve saw something that they were not supposed to see. They saw they were naked. But one thing that I want to return to is when the devil and the serpent, the devil inside the serpent, because the devil is the spirit, he used the serpent's body, because the serpent body was half animal and half human. He used his body as a seed to make Eve pregnant, right? But you have to remember that before Eve became pregnant, and one thing that you have to remember, the egg of a woman only stay open for a sperm for a little bit. So the egg will not stay too long open when the sperm already go in. But remember, the sperm of the serpent, that was already the sperm of the devil. The sperm of the devil was the first, and the sperm of Adam was the second. They all went in together, following each other the way they actually had sex with Eve. And right there, when the egg of Eve closed, there were already two seeds in there. The seed from the serpent, that was the seed of the devil. Because remember, the devil used the serpent's body as a seed for him to plant himself inside humanity. When Eve got pregnant, inside her womb there were two children. And those children, one was actually the child of the devil, or the serpent child, that was already the child of the devil, and another child was the child of Adam. So when they were born, one was called Cain and the other was called Abel, or what we call Abel. So Abel and Cain, they are twins. Most people don't understand that Abel and Cain were actually twins. Actually, they were twins, but they were twins from different fathers. When Cain was born, remember, he was born better than his brother in everything. As children, Adam never understand why they are different. But as they grew, they become truly different. Because even on a height, Cain was actually absolutely big. Bigger than his brother, who was little small. And because Cain was actually the spirit, was the son of the devil himself, it did not matter that much that they were much different. You can see the difference between Cain and Abel. So when they grew and everything we know happened, I will not even go into all the situation about what happened. The Bible can tell you. But for Cain, when he was cursed by God, and he decided to take one of his sister, and he ran away with her. And when he ran away of this land of Nod, remember, it was only called the land of Nod. There were no people there. And because it is called the land of Nod, it does not mean it was a city where people live, because that is what the misconception of people, that they were a city. Because it was called the land of Nod, that means it was a city. No, it was not a city. It was just a place where it is called the land of Nod. And we know there is so many places where they don't live people, but it is just called by name, right? So that is where he ran with that sister of his. And right there they had children. But when they had children, these children become a little bigger and bigger. And the more they had children, they become more bigger and bigger. They were so big that they were almost 3 to 4 times the size of a human being. And that is how big they were. They were actually 3 times the size of a human being. They were giant. And that is how they are called the Nephilim. And because they have the knowledge, they were the true sons of the devil himself. And let me add something. They were the true sons of Lucifer himself, because they carried that spirit of Lucifer. One thing that you have to understand is that those children, they have so much knowledge that was passed down to them, and they become more cunning, they become more knowledgeable. By existence, they can discover something that can take 100 years to discover for a human being. And for them, it can just take a few days or few years. Okay? Few months, I can say. But they discover those things very quickly. They discover music, how to do things very quickly, because they had that knowledge that the devil had. They discover, because they were the sons of the devil himself, it was so quickly for them to discover knowledge. One thing that you have to remember is that those children, when they become more knowledgeable, and they become evil too. That is one thing you have to remember. Okay, let me go back to Adam. When Adam had Abel as his son, he considered Cain to be his son too, but he knew he was not his real son, because Adam knew what happened. Adam knew the truth. But one thing that you have to remember again is that Adam continued to have children with Eve, and these children were not the devil's children. They were actually Adam's children. And because they were Adam's children, or normal human being, because Cain was not a normal human being. He was born from a serpent who was actually an animal. And the spirit that gave birth to him was not the spirit of God like Adam was. Do you understand? Adam was born from the spirit of God. But Cain was not born from the spirit of God. He was born from the spirit of the devil. So the things his children began to do, they began to violate the whole system. That is how God got angry. And because the children of Cain, who was the giant, they began intermarrying with the children of Adam. Now, they were forbidden to intermarrying each other. And this is why God got angry. God, he got angry because the children of Cain, who was supposed to separate himself from the children of Adam, they began intermarrying each other. And the children of Adam that was following God in every word of him, because they had Adam as the father, they began to follow the behavior of the children of Cain. The children of Cain were evil. They do evil things, but they were cunning. They built cities, better cities. So the children of Adam, they were actually shepherds, farmers. They were not actually developed. For many years, it went on and on. They were not developed. They were just normal farmers who live in tents and everything else. They were just poor. When they look up to the children of Enoch, they live a better life. They live in cities, better houses. The Nephilim, who was born from Cain, they discover many things. They discover iron, copper, gold, all these things. And they become richer and richer every day. They built cities by burning bricks. They made bricks and burning them. They were actually more knowledgeable than the sons of Adam. So, like you can see, all of those things they were doing, it led them from God wanting, okay, the entire world, it's already mixed together. The sons of men, that is the sons of Adam, that used to be good and follow my law, all of a sudden are now become just like the sons of Cain. They become just like the Nephilim. So I will not compete with them. Because if this continue to go on and on, there will be no end. So from that time he decided to destroy them. And that was the end of the Nephilim. The Nephilim never survived. No Nephilim ever survived Noah. No Nephilim was in Noah's ark. And I'm telling you that even the body of the Nephilim, they died on Noah's flood on the time of Noah. But one thing that you have to understand, that spirit that the devil used to bring up the Nephilim using Cain, that spirit actually survived. Because that spirit is not the spirit of a human being. It's actually a spirit of the devil himself. Do you understand? So that spirit, when the children of Noah who survived the flood begin to adapt these things that we call, like witchcraft and everything else, they began to produce children that we know now as the Philistine. But remember, these giants they did not survive Noah. They did not survive the flood of Noah. But what we know today, that the spirit that produced the Nephilim actually survived. And that produced what we know today as Goliath. Remember, before Goliath, there were other giants too. But they had years and they died. The seed of Goliath did not survive. They were just born that way. And that is the answer for many of the people who actually ask the question, does the giant that came up after Noah's ark were actually from the Nephilim? They were not Nephilim. That is the answer I can give to you. Those giants were not Nephilim. They were just real human. Remember, The Nephilim before, they had the spirit of the devil. Do you understand? They had the spirit of the devil himself by flesh. Just like the father and the son. The giant like Goliath, they were just humans. Like you can understand, they were just human. They think like a human. There was that little seed that was transferred of these children of Noah, the women that the children of Noah actually married. This little seed of the Nephilim that was transferred in them, it's transfer into that seed of Goliath. And that is why it became what it was. But I will just explain to you what is the fallen angels. So let me just go back on part 2, where I will make the fallen angel. Who is the fallen angel? We already see the Nephilim, but who is the fallen angels?